Open up your brown book, baby. It's for you, it's for us. The fantasies, no one can judge us, no one can judge us. This is for us. Open up your brown book, baby. It's for you.
Hi, I'm Farrah Rochon, and you're watching the Brown Book series with Shay Baby.
Hey y'all, hey, it's your girl Shay Baby with the Brown Book series, and we have another episode with a wonderful author. Listen, y'all, I keep going to the top. I don't care. I'm going to stay there. We have the Emma Award-winning author, Miss Farrah Rochon. Hi, Farrah.
Hello.
How are you, darling?
I am fabulous. Thanks for having me, Shay.
You look wonderful, girl. You look wonderful.
I'm trying.
You're doing an awesome job. Let me just say that.
Thank you. Thank
You're
you.
doing good, girl. And this pandemic, when I'm interviewing people, and I'm like, hey, y'all got it going on in this pandemic, baby.
Oh, this is the strangest look. It's the strangest thing I've ever been through. I think that we have all been through. So I'm just trying to do whatever I can from my little house. It's like launching a book during the pandemic is something I would not recommend to anybody, but you do what you gotta do.
But look, you've gotten down in this pandemic though, because I'm like looking at everything you're doing. I'm like, Farrah didn't miss a beat.
It's a lot behind the scenes that, people were scrambling, and my publisher, it's on my publisher, to be honest. They really, they were able to get all these different things in line for me. So it looked seamless, but there was a lot of work to transition.
Like they say, teamwork make the dream work.
Exactly.
I totally understand. Now, Farrah, before we get into this wonderful book you got out, because me and all my friends are talking about it, I'm like, okay, they trying to do their own little projects, but I'll tell you about that behind the scenes. You're from Louisiana.
Yes.
Do you still live in Louisiana now?
Yes, I do.
Oh, so you never left.
I did. I actually lived in Austin, Texas, which is where the book is set. I lived in Austin a few years. It's been probably about 10 years now since I came back home. But I loved Austin. That's why I'm so happy to set the book there. It's my first time doing that, and I miss it. It's such a cool city, but
you miss it?
So is I'm right outside of New Orleans, so it's like I live in a cool area.
So do you ever think you go back to Austin though?
No, I mean I've gone back a couple of times. I went to research this book because the city has changed so much since I left. And I've gone to speak at writer events there, but I'm home for a while, I think. My family's here, at least my mom and dad are here, and I like having this as my home base. I travel a lot. I'm all over. Well, not now, of course, but when there's not a global pandemic, I do like to travel, and I think coming back home, having this as my home base works for me. So
I absolutely love it. Now I see that you went to. I've been all up in your business, Farrah. Let me just say, all up in your business, and I see that you went to Xavier, girl.
Yes, I did. Yes, I am a proud Xavier graduate. Yes.
Yeah, I have a few friends that went to Xavier. They absolutely love it. They was trying to get me to go. I was like, you know what? I'm sorry.
It was a long time ago.
It was a long time ago. So like, yeah, I ain't gonna do that.
Yeah, I'm ducking my family because everybody else in my family, when my immediate family, went to Southern University.
Okay, yeah.
So I'm the only one who didn't go to Southern, but still HBCU had to be, had to do that. But it was good here. Yeah.
Well, it's good. So you got there and that was great. So I also heard, look, told you, I mean, your business now. I also heard that it was at Xavier that you decided that you wanted to fulfill your lifelong dream of being an author.
Yeah.
So how did that come about? When you was younger, did you just write poetry? Did you start out writing short stories? Like, what made you think, I want to be a writer?
I was one of those people who absolutely loved when we have essay tests and stuff like that. It's just something that always came naturally to me. I can remember, it was like ninth grade or something. We had this contest and we had to write a short story for my ninth grade English class. It was like a 10-page short story. And whoever had the winning essay got to win a pizza party for their class.
Wow.
So I was determined that I was going to do that. And at the time, I was like all into like John Grisham books and stuff like that. So all of my classmates are writing these like cool little YA type stories with people hanging in school. And I had like this murder mystery thing with like adultery and all this stuff. I still remember my mom's a teacher. She taught at the high school. And like my English teacher went up to her and was like, do you know what Farrah's reading? Because this thing she wrote is like, I won the thing, but he was kind of like scared about this story I came up with this lawyer who was cheating on her husband, and he, this murder plot. And yeah, this is ninth grade me writing this stuff. So apparently it's always been in my blood to do it.
So what pushed you to say, you know what, I'm going to do it now?
It was one of those things, like when I was in college at Xavier, I took this class because, like I said, I've always been into, reading and writing, and like I had a minor. I didn't officially declare it, but I could have had a minor in English because that was just the classes that I took as electives.
Right.
So I've always been into it. But I actually took a writing in psychology class.
Oh.
And my professor at the time, she's actually the only granddaughter of W.E.B. Du Bois. Wow. She was the professor, yes. She was my mentor at Xavier. And she taught that class. And it was really, she put it in my head to just go for my dream, because I wrote this thing about, I was very bad at public speaking. I actually had like social anxiety. I could not do it.
Wow.
I was like, look, I haven't gotten over it. I still don't really like it, but I'm much better. I used to basically pass out when I had to give a speech or something. Wow. And the first thing I wrote for her class was like my experience the first time that I had to get up and speak. And
wait, I'm sorry. I thought you was about to write about your first time. I was like, wow.
No. The first time I had to speak. This is a college class. And the first time, I wrote it, and I still remember her writing on the paper, I think in the grand scheme of things, you were meant to be a writer because you had my heart pumping, just reading, because I told her in the paper, I was like, I was ready to pass out. It was so scary and all of this stuff. And she just encouraged me. She said, you need to be a writer, because I've never had anything. And that was just it. I had these stories in my head, and I took a little like 3-subject notebook.
Right.
And I started that same day. I was like, you know what? I've been wanting to do this. So I have no idea where she is. I know she retired years ago, but she doesn't realize how much, she is the person who really put it in my head to be a writer. And that was the moment.
We need to find her.
I would love to, I would love to. Her name was Yolanda Du Bois Williams is her name, but she was the coolest person. I mean, come on. With W.E.B. Du Bois as your grandfather, and she was his only granddaughter. Right. She was a magical person. I absolutely loved her. And she is one of the reasons that I'm a writer today.
That is awesome. Now, your publication, how hard was it for you to get published?
I kind of went the route that is typical, or was typical back at that time, because, I've been doing this. I think my first book came out in like 2007. So you couldn't self-publish, it wasn't, you could, but it would cost you a ton of money to self-publish back in those days. So I went the traditional route, and, it took like 5 years. I think it was maybe my 5th book that I had written. And I got the agent first, and we sent it out and such, and finally that's it sold. The funny thing is, I actually had a rejection on a book that I really thought was going to sell.
Wow.
And 12 hours later, I heard about, this other book that I was like, maybe it'll sell. But I just thought the other book was stronger.
Right.
And it's like, that's the one 12 hours later. So I went like the lowest of low to the highest of highs within like 12 hour, 12-hour thing. But that's how they bought my first book, Deliver Me, which is probably still my like most read book.
Talk about anxiety. Okay, so before we get into the boyfriend project, we have a couple of segments that we do here at the Brown Book Series. And one of the segments is called Name That Book.
Oh.
It's gonna be okay. You're like, oh, wait.
Name that book?
Yes. Well, we take a character or a passage or something from one of your books.
It's even worse.
And you have to name that book.
Oh, Lord Jesus. Okay, let's see.
Bro, I told you, it's crazy over here at Brown Book, honey.
We gotta try it.
I'm telling you. So I'm going to read to you. Like I said, my bitch had to give her something to drink. Maybe a passage, a character, something. Okay. Are you ready?
And I have to try to name the book that it came from.
Yes. Try to name the book that it came from. Okay. All right. Name that book. Who moved all his shit out and left you with a bill for your engagement ring? Why would you want this guy? Name that book.
Oh, that's the one with the she's a wine person. Is it the rebound guy?
It's the rebound guy.
Yes, I know. I remember. I couldn't remember her name.
India was giving Asia the business.
Yes. Okay, the two sisters. That was
Yep.
I remember that.
That's awesome. Okay, so this is a character.
Okay.
Jared Dawson.
Jared Dawson is one of my football players. Mm-hmm. Third book is Feel the Pleasure from my senior series.
Yes. Yay.
I just reread that a couple of years ago. I reread it. So
like a ding ding or something here from when you get it right. Okay. Name that book. Given that she'd worked on construction sites since the age of 15, one would expect having lewd comments tossed her way was an occurrence.
Okay, that is from the Holmes Brothers, and that's Brooklyn, and Awaken Me.
Awaken Me.
I'm doing so much better than I thought, honestly, because after I finished, I'm like, I put it out of my head.
Telling you.
I know my books. Okay.
Look at you. Okay, one more, one left. This is easy.
Okay.
Jordan Woolcock.
Lord, that's one of them. That's not easy because it's one of those Harlequin books.
Yep.
Is it the Christmas one with the white cover? Jordan Woolcock. The mistletoe one? A mistletoe? What is it? I can't
remember.
Okay. That's one of the Harlequin books, one of the continuity series that they came up with. So I actually don't know those stories as well because they came up with the whole idea for the series. So yeah.
But girl, you did that. You ran.
I did better.
Look at you. Okay, so now that brings us to your recent book, The Boyfriend Project.
Yes.
Now, Farrah, when I read the book, I'm not gonna tell a lot about it because I don't want to be a spoiler. Like I've mentioned before on other interviews, my friends, they say I spoil everything for them.
Don't spoil. No.
I try not to, but sometimes it just be so good. You want to call them up and be like, girl, and they're like, I didn't get to that part yet, Shay. I'm like, oh, call me back when you get to that part. So can you tell us a little bit about this book and how, Farrah, Did this happen in real life? Do you know somebody that this happened to? Like, girl, what's the tea? What?
You know, with this book, there's so many layers to this book where some things, you know, and we could probably get into some of it and not spoil it for people, hopefully.
Okay.
But I'll just tell you straight up, I am addicted to Twitter. I've been addicted to Twitter for years.
I see that.
Yeah, you can see it if you ever go on my Twitter. And I honestly got the idea for this story while watching like a live tweet of, it wasn't like a date thing that happened, but it was like these two people on an airplane. And it was somebody else who was tweeting about, like, I don't know if they were having an argument or it was just something, because it was a few years ago. But I just remember sitting there on Twitter, it had gone viral, and I'm just like refreshing my feed because I'm like, okay, I need to know what's happening next, you know? And I'm like, this is ridiculous because it was late at night and I should have been sleeping, but this thing had me enthralled. And I just thought to myself, I'm like, this is actually a pretty cool concept. I need to put this in a book. And that is truly like the moment that I came up with the idea of at least what you see in the first scene, which again is not a spoiler for people. You know, you see it right at the beginning, these three women find out that they're all dating the same guy.
Yeah, I said Farrah went right into it. She was like, blah, right there.
That's how, you know, the whole book, and a lot of people, they think that like the entire book is like them getting back at the guy or something. He plays a very small part. Right. He's what brings them together, because the book is about that friendship between those two women.
Yeah.
And when it comes to like the real life stuff, that's the stuff that's more real life of, you know, having three, you know, friends that you can rely on, all the things that Tamaya goes through at her job and being a Black woman, having to prove herself, you know, those things are things that I've experienced in, you know, working or even just in publishing, you know, in a way, or people from my family, like my late sister, my cousins and stuff. We all going through that kind of thing. So like when I said it has all these different layers,
right,
that's the stuff that I'm talking about. And that's the real stuff. Definitely.
And condolences too on your sister.
Thanks. Yeah.
I was sad to hear about that. I was like, wow. So yeah, we felt you right here, girl. We was praying for you. Believe that.
Yeah, it's still unreal, but I'm making it.
Yeah. How long did it take you to write the Boyfriend Project?
You know, this has been a process because, you know, I think the book itself probably took me about 6 to 7 months or so. It was the longest book I've written probably in a decade because, yeah, you know, I was writing for Harlequin. I wrote like 16 books for Harlequin, and that was for years, and they were the smaller books.
Right.
And then when I went indie, I was basically writing that same length or a little bit longer, but nothing like this where it's like 90,000 words. So it took me a little longer. It's a lot more, you know, detailed and just other subplots and stuff that I just hadn't put that kind of meat into a book in a long time. But then once I sold it, my editor and I worked really well together. And we, you know, it went through so many different iterations, and she made the book a whole lot better. I mean, I thought it was a good book to start. Right. She made it a great book. She just, you know, she was fabulous to work with, and it's the same way with the next book that's coming up. So yeah, it probably took me about 7 months or so to write it, but I can't even calculate how many times I went through and changed and added and all of that stuff. It's been a process.
I can understand that. Now, you said you started out with Harlequin and then you went to indie.
Yeah, I actually started out with a publisher who's not even here anymore. Like my Holmes Brothers series, the first 3 books were my first books. Right. So I did like 5 books for that publisher, Dorchester Publishing. And then I switched to Harlequin. And then as I kind of became a hybrid author where I was publishing for Harlequin and then doing some indie publishing for myself.
Right.
And towards the end, I just realized, it's like I could do a whole lot better if I was just selling these books on my own. I'd established this audience and they're very faithful, very loyal to me. So I just decided, I'm just going to indie publish. But when I came up with the idea for this book, I just thought this idea is too big to keep it as one of my little indie books, because my audience was nice, but it wasn't, I just knew this idea was big enough to reach a much broader audience.
Right.
So that's when I decided, contacting my agent, I said, okay, I think I'm ready to go back to New York Publishing, see what we can do with this. So.
Wow. So you're back with a publishing company now?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. The Boyfriend Project was published by Grand Central Publishing, their Forever Romance. So that's, it's been great seeing my book in Target again after years of not, there is something to, not everybody, cares or something, but I realized the first time I went in Target and saw it on the shelf, I was like, okay, yeah, I like this. This is, it's cool to see that. So it's been fun. It's been fun to get back to it.
Okay, that's cool. So what made you pick this publishing company as opposed to going back to the last one that you was with?
It was, we sent it out to several publishing companies, when we submitted the book, and they were one of a few that wanted it. And it was kind of at auction is what they call it. It was a couple of publishing companies that went back and forth, vying for it. But this one, they were. It was nice. That was, that felt good. But I just thought, for one thing, my editor here, she actually worked at that same publishing company that I started with from the very beginning. Wow. She wasn't my editor there, but we had, we'd known each other all these years. I'd always wanted to work with her. So that was a huge thing. I finally got the chance to work with her. It was kind of like a full circle type thing, that I ended up working with her after all this time. And I just felt that this publishing company, they really wanted the book. And I just knew that they would do a lot to promote it. And that was my whole reason for wanting to come back to New York Publishing, having a publisher that would really get behind the book and push it, and it's what they've done. That's why, you see it everywhere. I know people have been saying, I think they're kind of tired of seeing that cover, but I'm not, so.
Right. They can just look, we're not tired of it. I love it. And I was like, the Boyfriend Project. The name itself caught my attention. Well, first of all, your name caught my attention. It's Farrah, so cool. Okay, what Farrah doing now? Because I'm still a girl trying to get over the Holmes series. Because Tobias them just, and then you came back with your football series. Yeah. And you know what? That right there leads us into the next segment, another segment in the Brown Book series interview called Who'd You Rather?
Oh, okay.
Yes, girl. We take the heroes from some of your past books and you let us know who'd you rather and why.
Oh, Lord, let's see. That's hard. That's like, okay. Let's see.
All right, you ready? Okay. Who'd you rather? Elijah Holmes or Jonathan Campbell?
Oh, see, this is so hard. I love them both. I'm going to go with Jonathan just because I wrote his book. That was like the last one of the Holmes Brothers series. So I feel good to yeah, and he kind of did like fight for Ivana for so long. So yeah, I'll go with Jonathan.
Yeah. Now let me just look. We like to be real honest here, right? Girl, I giggled a little bit. I said she made this fine doctor OBGYN. I said, oh, Farrah, I loved it. So okay. Reeves or Tobias Holmes?
Gosh, this is killing me. Come on. Come on. Oh, I'll go with Cedric because I'll be honest, that book is one of the favorites. I don't reread my books. It is one of the I've only reread 2 of my books, like just because I wanted to do it.
Okay.
The other ones I've read them because, I was like republishing them or something and had to. Right. But I'll Catch You is probably one of my favorites of the books I've written. So Cedric is, yeah. He's okay. He was a mess. And he just needed
was a mess now. He just needed help. I was like, girl. Okay, who'd you rather? Mason Coleman or Dustin Hawk Patrick?
Mason. Mason's the other one of the other book that I love. Yeah. I love Mason from the It's My Maplesville series. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. All right, last one. And so, girl, this one right here, because my brother owns a construction company, right? And,
okay.
Yeah, and some of his friends, y'all be like, what? He built it. Fine. And it reminds me of these 2 characters in your book. So who'd you rather? Jamal Johnson or Alexander?
It's got to be Alex. He's been one of my favorites from he's got the little girl. He's just like one of the sweetest.
He
is one of the sweetest characters, yes.
Okay. So you did good. Okay.
It was actually easier for me to pick than I thought.
See, this whole interview has been great. You got all your book covers. You did everything. You're the best, Farrah. I'm telling you. Look, let's keep that going. How about this? Another segment.
Oh,
you're going to get through this interview and be like, woo, dead or alive.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. If you were hosting a dinner party and could invite only 5 people from any era, who would it be?
Oh, okay. Famous people?
Anybody. It could be your grandma, anybody.
That's okay. My sister. I want my sister back. She would be right there with me. Right. So my sister, both the Obamas. Okay. So both Michelle and Barack. Mm-hmm.
Look, I had a brain freeze. I'm like, both of them? Who is it? Okay.
You're set. My Aunt Lois.
Okay.
And who would get the last spot? I don't know, maybe Maya Angelou.
Oh.
I listened to her once. She was one of those that are like, I'm not a poetry person per se, right. But she was another in high school. I remember they took us to go and see her in person, and it was one of those, you're just blown away by a person's presence.
Yes.
That's one of those people where it's like the whole time you're like, you're like with greatness, just in the room with greatness. So, yeah.
That's a great table right there for when you say you went to see her in high school and it just blew you away. That was Nikki Giovanni with me.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, they took us to, actually, I went to Agnes Scott. And so, and my English professor, they was like, oh, we're going to see, they classify her as a poetess or whatever, a poetry person. I'm like, oh, yeah. But when I saw
Agnes Scott, so I'll just say that.
Okay, cool, yeah. So I was like, I get there, Nikki Giovanni, and she was just breathtaking.
Yeah, it's one of those things when you walk into a room with a person like that, the air feels different.
Yes.
It's just like, something's different about this. This is not regular life. Yeah.
Something is different.
Yes.
Oh my God. I love it. This has been awesome.
It really has.
I want to do me a boyfriend project.
Remember, the boyfriend project is like, get your own thing. I mean, you got this going on. This feels like your project that you have decided,
So this is my boyfriend project.
There you go.
See, Farrah, you just got me together real quick.
See? You got it already. It's like you already got it. So
sometimes you need somebody to say, yeah, you know, just open your eyes to it.
And look, helping authors do it. You got it. Yes. And we appreciate it, let me tell you.
Yeah.
We do.
That's it. That's it. So, okay, we're about to end our interview, but before we go to our last question, my question to you is: so, will you just finish? You know, the boyfriend project. Are you going to do? Is this going to become a series, kind of, or are you going to leave it a standalone? Or
no, it's definitely a series. In fact, I just got the cover. I can't share it, of course. Okay. But I just got a mock-up of the cover for book 2, which I'm so excited about. Book 2 is actually Taylor. She's one of the 3 girls, the youngest of the 3. It's her book. Wow. Called The Dating Playbook is book 2. And she is, she's like this, fitness guru, and she's trying to get her business going. So she is contacted by an ex-NFL star because he wants her to be his fitness consultant because he's trying to get back into the league. So she's thinking that, okay, great. He doesn't want anybody to know that they're working together because he doesn't want people to know that he's trying to get back into the league until he actually can do it. So it's like all her plans, he, blows it out of the water. So it's been fun. It's written. I'm rewriting it now, but it's like she's a hot mess. So yeah, I'm really excited about it.
It's going to be released.
It's July of next year.
Okay then. I'm waiting on that one. I am waiting on that one. Okay, Miss Farrah, I want to say before we ask you this last question, thank you so much for coming on and just blessing us with your presence. You are just lovely. You are wonderful. I am just so humbled to be able to talk to you.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me. I mean, come on, you've had like Miss Bev and Miss Hodges, who was like I've been knowing her from the minute I got into this biz. So I feel blessed to have and honored to have been asked to be here. So thank you.
Sure. I appreciate y'all. When I started this thing, I was like, I need to start off right. Let me call Auntie Bev. And she,
perfect.
Yeah. It is so crazy because you meet people like yourself and like Sharice and, Miss Bev, and you're thinking, okay, they are the authors, they're big time, the USA best-selling authors. I come from the media world, it's radio and TV. So, I'm used to rappers and actresses, we just, So I didn't know how it would be. But you guys are awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And we appreciate anyone who is trying to uplift Black authors. So thank you. Truly.
Yeah, I'm all about it. And I'm Black than my sisters. Oh, definitely. All day. So I appreciate
Thank you.
Okay, our last book, Farrah, in the Brown Book Series interview. If you were writing a book about your life, what would the cover be? What would the title be?
The title. If it was about my current life, the title would be Your Girl is Tired. That's it. That's just it. Tired. The Farrah Rochon story, because I'm just tired at this point. It's been a year. It has been a year for everybody.
Hey, okay.
That's it.
I'm with it. I love it. Everyone, please. You are hilarious. Everyone, please go check out the Boyfriend Project. It's everywhere. It's in Target. It's everywhere. Farrah Rochon, The Boyfriend Project. And while you're picking that up, pick up anything, everything that has Farrah's name on it, everything. Go the home
Thank
series.
you.
You got to start from the beginning and work your way down.
First book is free. I always tell people, first book is free. You can try it out, see if you like me for free. So download that book. Try it out.
Love it. She's on Twitter. She's hilarious on Twitter. So what's all your social media outlets, your handles, and how can they get in contact with you?
Well, yes, on Twitter, just at Farrah Rochon. Same thing on Instagram. Instagram has become like my happy place. I've been, it's not as much of a dumpster fire as Twitter. And I'm on Facebook, of course, and always at my website, farrahrochon.com. I have the links to all of my social media and, my list of books and all of that stuff. They can find out anything on my website. So, look me up.
Look her up and go get her book. Her book is everywhere. Amazon, everywhere you can buy a book, her book is there. So make sure you go check her out. Thank you so much, Miss Farrah.
Thank you, Jay. I had so much fun. This was great.
Thank you. Look, tell a friend. Because I'm gonna be like, look, I need a list. I need to Thank you.
I will.
Open up your brown book, baby. It's for you, it's for us. The fantasies, no one can judge us, no one can judge us. This is for us. Open up your brown book, baby.